Today in America, roughly 12,000 babies will be born. Most will grow up with a full shot at the American dream. But on any given day across our nation, 2,500 children experience severe neglect or abuse. Nearly 1 million a year.
I can remember being tied up as a little girl, sitting in a chair, hands tied up, legs tied up.
Janetta McSwain lives in Atlanta with her sons Jaleel and Rashad. Her childhood was spent in Birmingham, Alabama, where she and her sister Sonia were abused by 3 uncles while in the care of their grandmother.
Moving from Birmingham, Alabama and going back home over the years has been an eye-opener. Has showed me this is what you left. Why didn't you leave earlier? My grandmother would go fishing a lot. She loved to go fishing, and she would leave me and my sister, who was 6. I was 5, and I had a boy cousin who was 5. The abuse started with my uncles sitting us in chairs, maybe 3 chairs in the living room. They would lock all the doors.
Whoop us, beat us. We used to try to run outside, they still beat us. And they,
I can remember my panties as a little girl being ripped off and your clothes ripped off. It was just so brutal. And I couldn't understand why would somebody in your blood, your relatives, do that to you. And having a boy cousin, watching a boy, you know, being molested and penetrated, it was just horrific. It was horrific to go through. And this happened for years.
Janetta contracted syphilis as a result of the sexual abuse. Threatened by her uncles, she never told about the abuse.
I was so afraid, so I didn't tell anyone, because the fear that was put in me. Another thing was my mother was gone so much, and coming from a parent who didn't want me, who also emotionally abused me, why should I tell? Who cared? You know, who cared?
Jeanette Madison is the mother of Janetta and Sonia. She was sexually abused by her father as a child.
That was me and my sister Gertrude, and we slept in the same bed. And I can remember, you know, I always wanted to sleep over by the window. The bed was pushed up to the wall over at the window. I wanted to sleep by the window, so crawling hand that night, you know, couldn't find me.
The abuse from my mother, I think, was the worst. I wish I never had you. I wish I'd have left you in the bushes. I wish I'd flushed you down the commode. When my mother would come home, it was like the most fearful thing, that you better go in the other room. She may throw dishes, she may break dishes. She was a very, very bitter woman.
By the time Janetta and Sonia were 9 and 10 years old, their mother was a chronic drinker who entertained men in her home.
She would get drunk and let them come to our house and let them spend the night with us while she drunk in her room. They'd come in our room and do what they want to do while she laying in her bed with another man.
We knew they were coming in to get us, so we would lay in the bed together because we knew the door was going to open, and we knew one of us was going to get taken out of the room. And one night, my uncle came in, and she begged him to take her instead of me.
By the time they were teenagers, Janetta and Sonia were in trouble.
I started hanging in the streets, started meeting the wrong kind of men. I dropped out of high school in 11th grade, I stopped caring about going to school. My mother dropped out. Everybody in my family dropped out. So it was a cycle. And at that point in my life, it wasn't a problem doing anything I had to do. It wasn't a problem. I had already been violated and raped. So I didn't have any essence about myself. I didn't know how to be a lady. Wasn't taught how to be a lady. And I met the first person that came along. I got pregnant the first 2 or 3 times we were together, and he left, said it wasn't his baby. Bam, I'm a single mother now.
Repeating their mother's pattern, both sisters had unwanted children by their late teens. But there was one difference between Janetta and Sonia.
I've never done drugs, but I have done everything other than drugs. But that was one of my rock bottoms that I wasn't going to do.
I did everything for crack. People don't want to tell people their story when they got on drugs. I did everything it was to get drugs. I robbed, I stole, I prostituted, honey. I was down to 98 pounds. I had no breasts, I had no behind. You can see my ribs. I was jumping in the cars. I had guns put to my head. I had knives put to me. I slept in abandoned houses. I slept in abandoned cars. I was eating sometimes maybe once a week.
It was so traumatic for me. We were 11 months apart. It's to see her. I think that was the hardest part of my life. It's to see her throw her life away.
Over the next few years, Janetta worked small jobs and had a second son named Jaleel. There were men in her life, but the relationships didn't last.
There have been times it's that you go there, you have flashbacks, you know? It's somebody ripping something off of you, and you know how ugly and nasty and degraded that makes you feel?
While Sonia remained stuck in anger, Janetta moved on. After months of studying, she took the GED test.
But I missed it by 1 point. And thank God I went back the next day, the next week, and retook it. And I was the only one there out of 30 students. I was the only one that showed back that day. And I think even then, that part of my life is that I wanted something.
By the time she turned 30, Janetta had an awakening.
I looked at my boys and I said, are there going to be a rapist? Are they going to molest their kids? Because at that time, I realized every man in my family that I knew had touched me inappropriately. So I knew then that this is a cycle. And I said to myself, I'm going to break this cycle. Didn't know at that time, never heard about a cycle. Just knew that I was in one. Knew that I didn't want to continue to be like my mother. And knew that I didn't want my 2 male boys to grow up and be a statistic. They want them to be in jail. They want them on the corner selling dope. They want them to get caught up and somebody offer them dope and say, hey, you know, sell this and bring me your money. I didn't want that. I didn't want them to be looked down upon. I didn't want them to be ashamed of me. I owed them something else.
Even at a young age, Rashad understood the legacy of abuse in his family.
Most of the males in our family is either in prison or dead. And I knew I wasn't going to be either, or wanted to be either. I had to do something, and I knew the military and going to college would be that, because I know I'm going to make it.
A high school graduate, Janetta's son Rashad has decided to enter the Air Force as a way to further his education.
I'm probably the only male in my family graduating from high school. So, yeah, I knew college was for me.
On July 1st, 2008, Rashad McSwain entered the military at Fort Gillem near Atlanta. His mother was there for him.
It's the first black male in my family to, you know, to do something so honorable in his life, to something so recognized. And I'm just so proud of him, you know.
Hello? Can everybody hear me clearly?
Okay, Janetta, yes, everybody can hear you.
Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. I am so glad to be with you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the documentary. That is a true story of my life. I was picked on at school. I was called voodoo and ugly and Scarface. I have scars all over my body. I have scratches and scars all over me. When I was a little girl, I was tied up to chairs. I was whipped with stitching cords. I was made to sit in the closet. I sat on the porch at that house that you just saw, and I got pneumonia and almost died. I ended up shoplifting. I ended up getting caught, going to juvenile. As I got to be 14 and 15 years old, I met a little boy that said I was cute, that he liked me. What did I do? All the pressures of having sex, and I heard that you guys call it smashing. And don't laugh, okay, because I know I'm late, but that's what I just heard. So that's a new word for me, okay? That's funny, too. So I started smashing about 14 to 15 years old. So the dope man moved next door to me, and he told me I was cute, and he told me he wanted to, you know, get with me, you know. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Don't be tripping. Anyway, I was just, 16 years old. I was naive, and somebody was looking at me. Oh, I thought I had it going on, okay? Before I knew it, I was in the dope house. I had a gun. I was selling drugs. I was out of control. Guess what happened? I dropped out of high school. You know why? Because my mother dropped out. My sister had dropped out. My uncles didn't go to school. Nobody in my family went to school. And nobody told me the importance of education. So I dropped out of high school. I wasn't pregnant or anything. I wasn't dumb. I just followed the cycle in my family. I started clubbing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was out of control, okay? Oh, I met this dope man, and guess what happened to me next? I got pregnant at 19 years old. Guess what happened? He abandoned me. He said it wasn't none of his baby. So here I am, 19 years old, without a high school diploma, and I was pregnant. I went and got food stamps. I went and got welfare. I went and got Section 8. I was another statistic. You know what? I had a baby. I didn't have anything. I didn't have a job. So I finally went back to school and got my GED. But can you imagine going to school with a baby on your hip? Can you imagine waiting the first of the month to get a welfare check? And let me tell you, it was $88 back then. Yes, it was. Okay. I got a job. I was making $3.25 an hour. Go ahead and laugh. I know that's funny, isn't it? I was working in a warehouse, picking potato chips out because I had nowhere else to go. At 30 years old, I woke up on my 30th birthday 9 years ago. And I had nothing. I had nobody. I had no husband. I had no skills, no job, nothing. Do you understand me? I had nothing. I had a man who didn't even love me. But I woke up, and you know what? I looked at my two boys, 12 and 5. On my second son, I got an abusive relationship that a man said he loved me. He punched me in my face. He cracked my ribs, but he said he loved me. Then I got another relationship with a baller. You know, he had it going on. You know what he did to me? He beat me too. He choked me. So, and I realized that I had to break the cycle in my family. I had to save my boys. I had realized at 30 years old, I said, oh my God, something is wrong with me. My boys are going to hurt somebody. They're going to be molesters. They're going to be rapists. They're going to be dropouts. They're going to be on drugs. They're going to die. And you know what? I wasn't going to jail to see my children in jail. You understand me? I was going to make my two black boys somebody. You know what I did? I packed up my house. I moved to Georgia. I drove 2 nights and 2 hours in the rain to Georgia, Atlanta, because I had to save my boys from the streets, from drugs, from dope, from diseases, from bad influences. They needed a new environment. Look at me today. I've been here 9 years. My son that you saw, he's 22 years old. He's the first male in my family to graduate high school. He went to the Air Force. He done well in the Air Force. He's now getting married to his high school sweetheart. She's not pregnant. No. He's doing well. He's in college studying to be a dentist, hygienist. My 14-year-old, 15-year-old son, he's in ROTC in high school. He's doing well. He's smart. Guess what? They haven't been on drugs. They haven't been to jail. They haven't been suspended. They don't have tattoos and earrings. Guess what? They are drug-free. And you know what? You can too. I'm coming from Atlanta, Georgia to tell you that you are beautiful. You are cute and handsome. I really can't see you really well, but let me tell you something. Go for your dreams. I got my bachelor's degree. 2006, I went to college. Can you believe I went to university? I went to Kennesaw State at 33 years old. I couldn't read well. I couldn't write well. I moved to Atlanta. I wrote on my refrigerator, failure is not an option. I got rid of all the negative people in my life. I studied hard. I didn't go out to clubs. I didn't do anything but go to school. And I told my 2 boys, I'm going to give you a role model. I'm going to make you proud of me. I'm going to be the first doctor in this family. I worked my butt off to get my bachelor's in science. In 3 years, I went to college, the first in my family to get a bachelor's degree. And then in 2006, I went to Clark Atlanta University. And guess what? I have a master's degree in social work. I graduated with a 3.98, top of my class, with honors. You know what else I did? I taped that documentary, The Road Beyond Abuse, at Georgia Public Broadcasting. You know what? Last year I got an Emmy. Can you believe that? Can you believe a little girl that everybody thrown away? They said I was ugly, I wasn't going to be anything. Look at me now. I'm successful. You know what? Did I tell you the good news? That I'm getting my PhD. Did you know I'd be the first in my family to be the first doctor in my family? Can you believe that? Look at me. Do you know I have a book? You see the book? Rising Above the Scars. You see me? That's me on there. That's the little girl that was thrown in the bushes to die. That's the little girl who had syphilis when she was 7. That's the little girl that was tied up and beaten and choked. Look at me. Now I am a butterfly.
The question is, why didn't you do any drugs like your sister and your mother?
I watched my mother drink alcohol. I watched my mother kill a man, shoot a man, burn a man. I watched my 3 uncles that abused me, drugs. And it was my rock bottom. I just couldn't do drugs. And I just couldn't do that. I just couldn't do that.
Okay. Do you ever wish that you had a different family? Like, do you regret having the family you have now with the exclusion of your sons?
No, I do not. I think I have the right family. I look at myself today and realize that it was my destiny. What happened to me, I'm not bitter, I'm not angry. If I'm able to talk to you today and go all over the world and share my story of empowerment, then it's worth every blow I took in my head. It's worth everything happened to me. I love my mother and my sister. I realized that my mother could not help who she was. She couldn't love 2 little girls because she couldn't love herself.
How can you best prevent friends from using and abusing illegal substances or alcohol?
First of all, you don't do it around them or with them. You don't have a friend that do drugs. You say, you know what, you can't be with me if you do drugs. I love you and I'm your friend, and because I love you, it's not cool. Drugs is not cool. Who want to be high all the time? That ain't cool. That's not what's hot. And you know what a friend does? Is you don't allow it to happen around you. I don't be around my friends that smoke marijuana. I have friends that still smoke back in Birmingham. I don't go around them. And when I come around, if they want to be around me, they can't smoke around me. That's who I am.
Miss, are you in a healthy relationship now?
Well, I just left my husband. He didn't know how to treat me. He couldn't treat me like a queen that I am. He couldn't respect my message, my mentoring. He started mentally calling me names, stupid. He started calling me out of my name. I'm not having it. Do you understand? I am beautiful queen. I'm going to be treated like a lady. And guess what? If you can't get to stepping, love does not hurt. You understand me? Oh, I see you ladies up there. I'm looking at you. You're too cute. Don't let nobody hit you and tell you nothing. You're not good enough. I'm not looking back.
The next question is, how do you manage to be so strong?
Life brings you pain, setbacks, disappointment. Life brings you heartbreak. But you know what? You don't stay trapped. You don't stay there. You know what? You get up. You brush yourself off. You put your comeback boots on. You look at yourself, and you know what? At 5 years old, I couldn't control what happened to me. They were evil. But you know what? I control myself as an adult. I choose who love me. I choose who treat me right. I choose who respect me. That's how I stay strong.
The next question is, are you ever going to come to Okinawa?
I would be on the first plane tomorrow if I could be.
The next one isn't really a question, and it's kind of long, okay? Your story reminds me of my mother, who was mentally abused, and her family was physically abused as well. You are truly a beautiful person. My mom is the most amazing person in my life. Your story should be heard around the world because you show no matter what, anybody can make it.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy for your mother. She's got to be beautiful. Thank you.
The next one is a comment from another student. It says, I never had it as hard, but I want you to know I understand that pain. I'm going to break my family cycle. Thank you.
Do that. You do that. You said I could break your family cycle. You can do it.
The last question is, how did you deal with the stress?
I know this sounds silly, but I don't. I'm a very forward person. I keep it real. I tell you just like it is. I have no room in my life for stress. When I have setbacks, I get over it. When I fall and I mess up and I make mistakes, I'm human. I realize I don't stay trapped. I don't stay stressed. I eliminate myself from negative environments, from negative people. It's a challenge every day. I have haters. It's good to have haters. It's okay. Keep it moving. That's what you do.
We have come to the end of this fabulous assembly. I am so pleased and proud that you were able to join us today from Atlanta.